Welcome back. I'm going to solve some more puzzles today, or try to, because I need the practice. I'm also a little worried because the last puzzle session went so well. I solved 7 out of 7 in a very short video, and I'm at a level now where I shouldn't be doing that, so chances are I'm going to miss a few here, but let's do our best. I'm going to click on the puzzles. As you can see, we made it to 2003 last time. I think I have a check right here, which will force the king out. No, it can't go there. So it will go this way. I could continue checking here, which would force the king this way. But then I think I'm stuck there. Am I not? Because this pawn is protected by the opponent's queen. Let's see, is there a different way to check? I'm not sure. But that does look like the best first move in this puzzle. Checks are almost always the best first move unless there's a piece hanging or some other obvious tactic that's supposed to be obvious. Here I do not see any other obvious tactic. In a game, I might be tempted to chase the queen with one of these rooks, but in that case, I think they could counterattack by putting their bishop here and attacking my queen. I feel like there must be something else that I'm missing. And it might be the fact that the queen guards both of those, which would come in handy for me after my check, right? If the queen were somewhere else when I did this and the king moved, I would check here first, then the king would move, and then I could take this pawn. If the queen wasn't here. So now it's got me thinking maybe I should try to chase the queen away first. Now, if it went down this diagonal, it would still be guarding the rook, and if it went down this diagonal, it would still be guarding the pawn. But that's the only square where it can guard both of them. So that's what's taking me back to the possibility that maybe threatening the queen with the rook would be the best option. And if they tried something like danger levels to threaten my queen at the same time, well, I've got this prepared. Now my question is, should I try this first, then when the king moves, then try something like this to chase the queen away, or my follow-up? My follow-up here, which would then either win the rook or the pawn on the following turn if this queen wasn't here. Okay, so that's my plan. I just don't know what order is best. I'm going to assume that the check is best first because it's forcing. If I don't check first, if I do this first, they might have some other option. What other option would they have? Well, they could just sidestep here. Well, that wouldn't be good then because they wouldn't be guarding the pawn or the rook, and then I'm going to check. So maybe that's best, but then if that's best, then which rook comes? I was going to suggest this one, but I have a feeling that whichever one I pick is not going to be correct. And I have that feeling because check is almost always the best first move. I'm going to check first. All right, what about the rook? Nope. The other rook? No. So none of my ideas were right, and so there was no reason for me to have spent that long on it. There was something else entirely, and I'm going to click the hint button now. Well, that's just checkmate, isn't it? Okay, well, except for my last video, I think this makes 4 or 5 in a row that I've missed the very first move. So I did miss something very obvious, and maybe some of you were shouting it out at the video as you watched. If so, thank you, but your cries were not strong enough to go back in time to warn me. Okay, well, we're below 2,000 again. I have a check here that also wins a piece, and the opponent's only option would be to step aside, and then I would have this check, and their only option would be to capture it, and then I would have that which is mate. Okay, well, I feel a little bit vindicated after failing that first one. I missed a 1-move checkmate, which now that I think about it was very similar to a game I played recently, which might be in a future video. But I found this 1, 2, 3-move checkmate, so I don't feel quite so bad. Okay, next puzzle. Well, I have a variety of checks available in this position. This bishop is a goner? Not necessarily. It can always come here and threaten the queen, but then the queen can come down here and check me, and I'll be in big trouble. So maybe I need to check first. So I can check here on c5. I can check on c2. One cool thing about checking on c5 is that if the king goes in there, that's mate. Because my queen would cut off all 3 of those squares so the king couldn't escape. And there's a name for that mate. But the king doesn't have to go back there, does it? It can't go back here because my queen's cutting off. Sorry, I'm using green for the cutoff squares for some reason. I should probably use red for those, shouldn't I? I need to get in the habit of using red. My queen cuts off those squares, so it couldn't go there. Oh, and my bishop would be remaining cutting off these squares. So its only choice would be to go back to e1. That's one choice. And again, from here, this would be mate. Sorry, that's the bad arrow. That would be checkmate. If it went here, then I suppose I could check with the bishop. But if it went there, I could still check here on e3. And the options would be becoming limited at that point. Well, that might not be horrible, but they do have rooks that are available to come help in just a second. I think we should check first. And like I said, if they go back there, I know we have mate. I warned you in the intro. The chances of me getting them all right this time were very slim. Okay, but I'm in a decent mood today, so it's okay. I'm going to be fine if I fail all the rest of the puzzles, and I'm going to learn something. So was it this one then? No, it was not that one. Was it the threatening the queen? It was not that either. Okay, so all three, again, just like the first puzzle, all three moves that I considered were wrong. So there must be something else. I think I just saw it. Because of my bishop, I can check right here. Okay, I don't know why it stopped there. Because the king it's not mate. King has two choices. But we already discussed if it went to e1, I would have mate here. Oh, and if it went there, I would have mate there. Okay, so the puzzle should have gone one move further. There's no theme listed, and the reason there's no theme listed is because what theme would this be? It's not mate in 2 because it didn't let us go that far. Okay, well, I should have seen that. But as we know, diagonals are one of my weak points. Okay. Oh, and the target time was 7 seconds. Well, I would suggest a theme. There's not one listed, but again, I don't know what theme to suggest since the puzzle did not allow us to continue to checkmate. Next puzzle. All right. Well, I know if I take that pawn that it will be check. I assume then the queen would block, although the knight could block too. That seems like a very obvious first move. Actually, you know what might be even better is checking with the bishop, but then they can still block with the knight. Okay, what if I check with the bishop, which is a developing move, as well as a check, because I'm getting my bishop out of the way to castle. So in the long-term prospects of a game, that would be beneficial to take this with my bishop. I'm not worried about this because check is a higher something. They wouldn't then block with their queen because of that follow-up, I suppose, and then afterwards me getting the rook. So I think they would block with their knight. If they did block with their knight, then I would capture it with check, which would force them to take with their queen, and then I would win the rook with check. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, well, I only got 5 points for that. Despite getting all 3 moves correct, I did not get them in 24 seconds. This puzzle also has no theme listed. I don't know what we would call it. I don't know what theme it would be. And it's a relatively new puzzle. I seem to be getting these a lot. There are only 69 attempts have been made on this puzzle so far. Oh, and the pass rate's only 42%. Can you see that? Let's move my camera out of the way. You can see 42% is the pass rate for that. All right. Well, I'm pretty proud of passing it then. Next puzzle. The way this video has been going, I'm probably going to miss this one. That's just the way it has been going. That's a pretty nice pawn fork, but apparently there was a problem with it. What is the problem with it? I take this pawn, which I would like to, they'll get my rook. And if I take this pawn, they will take back, I assume. I don't have any other checks, or any checks, period. I mean, well, okay, that's a check. If I take this pawn, and they take my rook, and I take their knight, then they're just up in exchange. If I take this, and they take my rook, and then I go here with check, they go to one of those 2 squares. If they chose the corner, then I could take the knight with check, but I'm still down in exchange, and I don't have a checkmate down there. I'm gonna take the H pawn. Okay, Wow. All right, what was it? Was it not taking the H pawn? Obviously. Surely it wasn't taking that one. Okay, that one didn't seem reasonable at all. Oh, is it this? No. Of course not, because the knight would take it. I thought if it did that, then the pawn is pinned. Well, we're going to click the hint button because I don't have any ideas whatsoever. It was en passant. Wow. Oh, not that. That? Well, the theme of that puzzle was en passant, which I will give a thumbs up to because that is what it is. Let me collect myself. Next puzzle. I didn't even consider en passant. I was considering the position as it stood rather than that piece having just moved. You know how in the daily puzzles on chess.com, you don't see what the opponent's last move is? So you don't know? I was kind of thinking of it that way, just looking at the position. Whereas if I had been looking at what did they just move, maybe I would have seen it, because I see it in games all the time. I have a couple of different checks here. One is this check. That, because my queen blocks off these squares and my bishop's hitting those, they don't have anything over here they could block with. Their only legal move would be here. And then I would have mate, I think. Okay. Well, there's no theme on that one either. Well, I'm going to click mate in 1, 2. That was checkmate in 2. Where's the theme? There it goes, mate in 2. And that puzzle has only a 49% pass rate. What is it with me and getting puzzles that I can pass the ones that have a low pass rate, but then I miss the easy ones? Okay. Next puzzle. I have a long ways to go if I want to get back to the rating that I started this video at. I do have a couple of checks, but neither one of them looks very good. That one loses to the queen or the king. That one loses to the king or the knight or the rook. Can take me there. Maybe I should consider their last move. What did they do? What in the world does that do? Oh, I can just take it, can't I? Because the pawn is pinned. And if they take back with the knight, I would win their queen. If they don't take back with the knight, I could just take the knight then. Oh, but you know what? If I take this now, I think they're going to take my bishop. Should I? Okay, I should take this first, right? Since my bishop is hanging, I should take the knight first because it's guarding this bishop. And they can take back if they want to. Oh, but then that removes the defender of this rook. I'm liking this puzzle. Okay, so I take the knight. What else can they do then besides take back? I can't take the rook. The knight's guarding the rook. Once they take back, then I will take, right? If I capture the knight on f3 first, they take back with their queen. I wouldn't take the rook because it's guarded by their knight. But then I would take their bishop because this pawn is pinned. I think that's best. Well, I logically thought that one through, but I was wrong. Taking the bishop first. And then they took my bishop, which is why I took with that first and there's still another move left. I'm certain it's not taking the knight because then they'll take it back and it will be even. That's why I did it in the other order. What am I missing? I can check there. That's what I'm missing. They have to take, and then I win their queen. Well, you see from my little graph there that I went down and then up less than I had gone down, then up less than I had gone down, then up less than I went down, and now down again. Each down step is a further step than the up steps. Okay, this one only had a pass rate of 36%, but it's an old puzzle, 45,000 attempts. The theme is Vulnerable King. Going to the analysis board because their first move should have been to take this. But I guess they were worried that I would then take their bishop. But no, this is free. And then if I did take their bishop, they could take back. But instead, they took the bishop there first. And that's my third best move, according to Stockfish. What would they have done if I did that? They would have taken it with their knight. And then my best, oh, that's what I forgot. I thought they would take back with their queen. But they could take back with that knight and then leaving our queens facing each other. Checking here is not even in my top 3 moves. Oh, because the bishop. Wow. Okay, I think I understand. I have to take here first. And the reason they wouldn't take back with their knight is because then I would get their queen for a bishop. But they take the free bishop and then I have to see this. If I ever see that in a game, that sequence, you can check me for anal beads. Yeah. I don't mean right there, because once we got to that final position, I did see the knight. But if I'm supposed to see that from the beginning, what was that? That puzzle was rated 1632? No way. I've solved puzzles over 2,000 that were 10 times that easy. Okay. I said I was in a good mood. I'm going to try to hang on to that. I mean, I do have a check, but that's bad, right? I can also take this pawn, but I don't know what that gets me. I could take it either way. Is it bringing my other rook? Is that what this is? I'm going to bring my other rook and put it right there? Because that would be mate. The king can't move right now. My rook cuts off all the... we're going to do those in red. I just remember. My rook cuts off all those squares. Of course, their own pieces cut off 2 of their squares. My bishop cuts off here, and my pawns cut off those squares. So if I had a way to check this king right now, it would be checkmate. But I think if I move this rook over, they're going to move their rook over, right? Oh, but if they move that rook over, then I can bring this one. Oh, please be right. Oh, they brought that one. Oh, well then I'll just take it. And then do this. Did I get it? Oh, okay. It took a second, but yeah, okay, I got 5 points for that. Okay. Well, I guess the key there was to see that the king was stuck. The king couldn't move. And then I just had to figure out how to get to it. Next puzzle. Well, they just took something. I have a couple of checks with pawns. I have a check with the rook, but I think that would be bad because their queen guards that square. If I did check with pawns, which ones would I want to check with? Let's just start with the f pawn. Let's say I checked with the f pawn. Then my f and e pawns would be cutting off all these squares. My rook is cutting off all of these squares. My h and g pawns are cutting off these squares, so that would leave the king only one legal move. And then I couldn't check here because that would leave this square unattended. Or maybe I could check with the g pawn and force the king down there, and then that would be mate. Maybe that's it. Oh, I forgot about the queen. Okay. No theme listed on that one either. And it has 16,000 attempts. That was mate in 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think 3+ is as high as it goes. Mate in 3+. We'll add that theme. Okay. All right. Oh, I got 2 in a row. That's a record for this session. Okay. Well, then let's click next. Oh. Okay. This is probably one of those puzzles that taking the obvious free piece isn't the answer. That happens a lot. I'm going to check and see. Well, because if I take that, they take mine, right? Maybe it is just taking the bishop. Now, if I do that and I get it right, then I'm only going to get 5 points because I took so long looking for another answer. But I'm pretty sure that if I take it, they're going to take mine. That would weaken their king. Then I could put my queen here and then threaten me. Should I just take that first? It's not check or anything. They could always bring their bishop back at that point. But if they took, then I would have a check here. They'd have to go to the corner, and I would go there, and then they would come back, and then I don't know what I would do. But I do know if I take this bishop, they take mine. So why not take something out with this bishop first, and then take theirs? Is that reading too much into this? That was reading too much into it. That puzzle's rated 1913, and the target time was 13 seconds, and has a pass rate of 65%. Okay, wow. Well, okay then. If it wasn't taking their bishop or taking something with mine, what was it? It was doing something with the queen. It was taking my queen over here. Oh, that was the end of it? That's the whole puzzle? I am flummoxed because I understand that they can't now take this bishop because the pawn is pinned. I understand that. And I also understand that this is a mate threat, but it's just a threat. All they have to do is move up one, right? But if they move up one, then I go here and they can't stop mate. Maybe. Is that it? Why didn't it go that way then? Well, what they should have done was take my bishop. But they didn't do that. They instead took my knight. And that was a blundered mate in 4, but only if I play queen to this. Oh, that was my second best move. I don't feel so bad. That was my second best move, was taking on g2, the thing that I did. And that was my third best move. Okay, So I don't feel completely ridiculous, but this was my best move, and that's the end of the puzzle. Obviously, okay, what I said was their best move was moving the pawn. Oh, okay, they could take here and threaten me with check. But if they do that, then I would take it, and then they would play g3. Okay, so it doesn't matter what order they do those in. If they play g3 first, I go to h3. If they do this first, I have to take it, and then they do that. But here, if I went to h3, then they could take this. So the g3 and the bishop captures on b2 doesn't matter. Sorry, b7 doesn't matter which order they do those in, because they're both going to happen and for it to be mate in 3. And if they do anything else, it's mate in 1 right there, like I said. Okay, but then the puzzle should have kept going, I think. Because I can't add a theme to it now because it's just moving the queen over there. Unless there's a theme that says moving the queen. You can't see the drop-down menu, but there is. It's not a smothered mate. It's not a skewer. Scholar's mate. A sacrifice. Removing the defender. Promotion. Pen. Perpetual check. Pawn. Endgame. Passed pawns. Overloading. Opposition. Mating net is. I don't think that qualifies as a mating net, does it? I don't know. I am not an expert on mating nets. It doesn't fall under any of those themes. That's why there's no theme listed. I hope you're happy. I did not do well at all in this. Learn from my examples. There's probably something better. Whatever move you saw, there's probably something better. In this case, a lot better. Okay. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.